Marshall, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're a legend. And so we are honored to have you in our community and to have this conversation. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Well, it's obvious that you lead with gratitude. And so is that something that is a natural practice for you, or is that something that you needed to learn over, somewhere in your adult life?
I think that's something that I've learned. I had a couple of experiences that helped me with that. One is when I was 27, I broke my neck surfing, and I didn't know I'd ever be able to walk again. And I talk about that in my new book. And after that, I just said, if you can ever walk, don't complain. Yeah, don't complain. And then another second experience is I went to Africa in the Great Famine of 1984, and I watched a lot of people starve to death. And I have a picture at home of myself. I was there for 9 days with the Red Cross. And I have a picture of myself kneeling down next to some woman, and she's measuring the arms of kids. And if their arms are too big, they don't get any food. They're not hungry enough. Their arms are too small, they're going to die anyway. And they go over there. And if their arms are in the middle, they got food. So I have a picture of me staring into the camera, and I'm trying to send that version of myself a message to this version. And the message is be grateful. Just be thankful for all you have, because that could be you. I mean, those people were as good as you and me. Just
Mm.
quit raining. And that could have been us. So, and I would say I experience temporary sanity on some occasions. Every now and again, I have some experience like that where I'll actually become sane for a couple of weeks. But it is amazing how we drift back up into nonsense.
Oh, that is a great laugh. And right on the heels of, experience that like still has me back there with you a little bit, like, holy moly, like, thank you for level setting.
Yeah.
And it just a couple nights ago, I was sharing with my son, he's almost 14 years old. And I was trying to explain that there's about 300 million people in India, the size of America,
Right.
full size, that don't have electricity and heat and basic amenities that we completely take for granted. So that's part of my family's zeitgeist right now. So thank you for grokking
Yeah.
in the depth there. I want to hit this note, but not stay here too long, which is you and I have a shared experience with surfing because I wasn't 27, I was a little bit younger, but I had a really bad upper neck injury,
Yeah.
C3 and 4, and
Ooh,
created yeah created
C3, that could go bad.
yeah it created a lot of problems and
Yeah.
for a long time, like some serious chronic pain, and it kept me out of like being physical. I couldn't even lift my laundry basket for a while. So those things will really tune you up to being present, being grateful, being connected. Um, and there's a struggle that comes with it. So how did you work through that struggle?
The struggle of getting better or the struggle of remaining somewhat sane?
The struggle of when you're in a new situation that you didn't plan for, that has got some pain involved, and at the same time requires you to think differently about who you are and your
Well,
future.
I didn't know I'd ever walk again.
That's right.
So, I just kept telling myself one thing. If you can ever walk, and I lost use of my left arm, I didn't even care about that. I mean, I had a right arm, so losing my left arm, things happen, right? That one was irrelevant at this point. I just said, if you can ever walk, don't complain about anything. And again, I'd say this level of what I call temporary sanity it lasts for a while, then it comes and goes. Then I drift back into being a petty little shit, just like everybody else.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense the title of your first book then, which this phrase has been materially important for me for a long time, which is what got you here won't get you there.
That
And
was
it's
a
a
winner. That's a winner phrase. I can tell
that
you
is
that.
a yeah, like I don't
That
know where I first heard it. It might have been the title of your book or whatever, but I know it was in the industry of Olympic sport that phrase is used all the time. So maybe you could talk about the origins of that phrase.
well, my book is about helping successful leaders get even better. So I'm a pioneer in helping successful leaders get better. Historically, coaching was not for successful people. Coaching was fix the loser, not help the winner. I'm in the help the winner business. If you do a Google search, helping successful leaders in quotes, the first 500 hits, 450 are me. The entire rest of the world is 50. My brand, got that brand. Well, I started working on the issues of successful people. And Peter Drucker said, we spend a lot of time teaching leaders what to do. We don't spend enough time teaching them what to stop. I had the privilege of being on his board for 10 years, which was a good break for me.
Not everyone knows who he is. And so he's a legend. And can you just take a moment and share who Peter is to you or who he was to you, and maybe some of the and maybe some of the things you learned from him.
Peter Drucker is kind of the father of modern management. And the guy, just a very, very, very brilliant guy. He was just smart. So again, I got ranked number one leadership thinker in the world. My intellect compared to him, 10-year-old child. I mean, this guy was playing with a totally different deck. And I feel very fortunate because I just got to hang around with him, and kind of some of it hopefully rubbed off. I use the stuff he taught me over and over again today. And so I feel very, very lucky. I got a program called 100 Coaches, which is in honor of my heroes. And he's one of my heroes. So he never charged me money or asked me for anything. He was just very generous and kind to me. And so, you can look him up, but he is in the modern management called the father of modern management. And I would say unquestionably the greatest thinker in management history.
He was well known, at least how I knew of him, is that he would pose thought-provoking questions.
Yes.
And he would develop structures around those. So they were very consistent in the way that he would challenge people to think about
Right.
who they are as they're managing and leading others.
Right.
And I know that you have systems like that as well. So can maybe you just talk about maybe some of the questions or the ways that he would influence you?
Well, he influenced me. My book, What Got You Here, Won't Get You There, was influenced by that comment from him. Here's another way he influenced me. And if your listeners get nothing from me but this point from Peter Drucker, they will, number one, be happier, and number two, be better at influencing people for the rest of their lives. I have repeated this advice thousands of times. This sounds so simple. I've talked to CEOs with MBAs from Harvard and had to repeat this 30 times so that they get it. Here it is. Point number one. We're here on earth to make a positive difference, not to prove how smart we are, not to prove how right we are. We get so lost in proving how smart we are and right we are, we forget we're not here to prove we're smart. We're here to make some positive difference. Number two, every decision in the world is made by the person who has the power to make the decision. Make peace with that. Not the smartest person, a fair person, a good person, the right person, or even a sane person. Decision makers make decisions. If I need to influence you and you have the power to make the decision, there's one word to describe you: customer. There's one word to describe me: salesperson. Customers never have to buy. Salespeople have to sell. Sell what you can sell, change what you can change. And if you can't sell it and you can't change it, take a deep breath and let it go. I've had to repeat that lesson so many times. My friend Fred, he becomes CEO of a company owned by KKR. KKR, private equity firm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. KKR, Henry Kravitz. Freddie becomes CEO. He's 41 years old, right? This is a small company by their standards. Fred's the CEO. You know what he says? They can't tell me, Fred, what to do. Oh, no, of course, Henry Kravitz can't tell you, punk Fred, what to do. So they figure out how much it costs to get rid of Fred. A couple $1 million. They don't even care about the $2 million. It's just a pain in the butt. So they have me coach Fred. So I told him this Peter Drucker story. He says, they can't tell me what to do. I said, Fred, I'm going to help you. Yes, they can. It's their money, you idiot.
How about it?
Now I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do. If you do what I tell you, I may save your sorry butt. And if not, I got to go back to New York and tell Daddy I can't help you. You need a better coach. But Fred, there isn't a better coach, is there? No, you're screwed. So and Fred, really a good-hearted guy. He just got lost in his ego. He just salutes the flag and comes out. He was there 12 years, had a great career. Everything worked out. He just had a little mild ego issue in the beginning.
Is this the style that you work with people with, like lighthearted frameworks that have intensity and seriousness with, the kind of big picture belly Buddha laugh, like, listen, it's all working out just fine the way it's supposed to. Like,
Yeah.
is this the style? Like if someone was to work with you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can talk to any of my clients and, Dave Chang.
I don't.
Oh, Dave Chang's a famous chef. He's a chef, Momofuku. He's got his own TV show. He's hilarious. So, he wrote a story of his life and he talks about me in his story. It's just hilarious. He tells stories about me coaching him.
Okay, so before we get off Peter Drucker, like there's a couple questions that I love that he asks, which is it it just puts somebody who's ever answering these questions in the seat of power, right?
Right.
Their own power, which is what needs to be done. Okay, so
Right.
that's a question to grok. And
Right.
then what is also at the same time what is right for the company? So it needs
Right.
to be done, what's right for the company, and then am
Right.
I taking responsibility for my
Right.
decisions, for my
Right.
actions, right?
Right.
And then there's a couple like calibrations, which is about inspiration. I think it was like, do people feel inspired to work with me?
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, am I saying that they're working for me, or am I working with them? Like, there's some
Right.
sort of inspiration. And
Yeah.
then, do you use? This is one I love that he would introduce. Um, do you use we more than you use I? I think that's part of it. Yeah. Yeah, so very cool. So Peter Drucker, it must have been awesome to learn from him and
Very, very
support him.
fortunate. Very
Yep.
fortunate.
So why executive coaching, Marshall? Maybe what is executive coaching, but maybe that's second. Why executive coaching? Why did you want to get in the business of helping other people?
Largely accidental and not nearly so inspirational as you might think. I met a very famous man named Dr. Paul Hersey, and he invented situational leadership with Ken Blanchard. He was the highest paid consultant in the world in our field at the time. I'm a kid, I'm a young assistant professor. And I met this guy and got to watch him teach. I thought, man, this guy is good. Now, I was smart enough to do one thing: carry the bags, serve the coffee, clean the room. I didn't care. He just let me sit in the back of the room and watch. I said, this guy's good. I want to be like him. Sure enough, one day he got double booked. He said, can you do what I do? I said, I don't know. He said, I need help. Can you do this? I said, I don't know. He said, I'll pay you $1,000 for one day if you can do this. I was making $15,000 for 1 year. I
Mm.
have a degree in math. I added the numbers. I said, that sounds good to me. I'm going to give it a shot. I did a program for the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company in New York. They were incredibly pissed off when I showed up because I wasn't him, but I got ranked first place of all the speakers, of 10 speakers. So they called him up and said, send Marshall again. He said, you want to do this again? I said, hey, Paul, you're paying me $1,000 a day. I'm making $15,000 a year. Yes, sir. I'll do this all the time. My schedule just cleared. So that's how I got into leadership development, working with him and Ken Blanchard and some other wonderful people. Then I didn't start at the bottom. So, I mean, my first clients were McKinsey and IBM. I didn't start at the bottom here. Then I'm working with a CEO, and he said, I got this kid working for me, young, smart, dedicated, hardworking, driven to achieve, arrogant, stubborn jerk. He said it would be worth a fortune to me if I could turn that kid around. I said, I like fortunes. Maybe I can help him. He said, I doubt it. Well, I'll try. He said, I doubt it. I came up with an idea. This was my good idea. I'll work with the guy for a year. If he gets better, pay me. If he don't get better, it's all free. You know what he said? Sold. That's how I got into coaching. There was nothing called coaching. There was no such thing as executive coaching. I just made that up. Well, guess what? I got paid. He got better. I got paid. Welcome to executive coaching.
Mm. Is that how you structure most of your deals, or is it
Oh,
more of a
for
monthly
my
retainer?
entire career, I didn't get paid if my clients didn't get better.
How would you measure getting better?
Very simple. They get confidential feedback from everyone around them. The person identifies a key stakeholder. If they're not the CEO has to sign off on it. If they're the CEO, the board signs off on it. And then they get the feedback, the person, and they agree, here's what I want to get better at, as judged by whom. I develop a scale. They get better, I get paid. They don't, it's free.
And then is the client the organization, or is the client the executive?
Well, it's very interesting who the client is. In many ways, the client is the key stakeholders.
Yeah, that's right.
My success or failure is not judged by the person I coach. It's judged by their key stakeholders.
Okay, I want to take a quick little break here to talk about our new partner, Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources that were once only available to big businesses. So startups and established businesses alike can access the tools they need to scale and succeed. With Shopify, businesses can reach their customers anywhere, in person, online, across social networks, with an ever-growing suite of channel integrations and apps. They help you synchronize your online and in-person sales. They help you stay effortlessly informed and, so that you can gain insights as you grow with detailed reporting of conversion rates, profit margins, and stuff like that. Shopify has created a really thorough and thoughtful program. Now, we're currently working on building out a new website here at Finding Mastery, and we're stoked to integrate Shopify's platform. It was a no-brainer for the next phase of our business, and our team is loving the solutions that they've created for us. So millions of companies around the globe trust Shopify to power their business. To get started, go to shopify.com/findingmastery. And that's Finding Mastery is all lowercase. So for a free 14-day trial and to get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features, again, that's shopify.com/findingmastery. Punch over there right now. Check out what they're doing. Shopify.com/findingmastery. And Finding Mastery is also brought to you by Blinkist. So Blinkist has been one of my favorite apps for years. They help me discover and understand powerful ideas from books and podcasts in a short amount of time. It's a great way to widen your knowledge base on different areas and to provide an incredible opportunity for discovery of things that you want to go deeper in. Blinkist offers a range, like a great selection of nonfiction books. What they do is they pull out the key takeaways and put them into 15-minute text and audio explainers. They call those blinks. So Blinkist has condensed over 5,000 titles in 27 different categories. And they also produce shortcasts, which are blinks for podcasts. So of course, this is not a replica for reading a full book, but I love using it as an initial introduction into a topic or as a refresher. I think it's really cool what they've done here. So I want to encourage you to go check out Blinkist. So right now they have an awesome offer for Finding Mastery listeners. So go to Blinkist.com/findingmastery to start your free 7-day trial and get 25% off a Blinkist premium membership. So you spell that Blinkist, Blinkist, Blinkist.com/findingmastery, Blinkist.com/findingmastery. So with that, let's get right back into this conversation. So and then do you work on a sliding scale of like the perceived value to the stakeholder?
Nope.
No?
No, here's the number. Here's a number, and they get better, pay me this number. If they don't get better, there is no number.
Got it. Awesome. So it's like, seriously, it's bet on me.
All
And
in.
then- yeah. And then when you bet on me, what I've learned is that I think one of the unspoken practices that I think I've become good at because I had to do something very similar in sports psychology is that I needed to know if the person was going to do the work.
Oh,
And so
look,
there's right? Like that.
you identified my life.
Yeah.
So of all the people, do you live in Seattle?
No, I spent 9 seasons with the team, but I'm based out of LA.
Okay, well, in Seattle, I was a coach of a man named Alan Mullally.
Alan, legend. Yeah.
I was Alan's coach. Alan's the head of Boeing Commercial Aircraft.
Yeah.
Alan's young. So I'm Alan's coach. So of all the people I coach, Alan improved the most and was fantastic to start with, by the way. And I spent the least amount of time of him of all the people I coached. So I go to Alan. I said, Alan, I made a chart on one dimension is called time spent with the executive coach, Marshall Goldsmith, and the other dimension is called improvement. And I said, there seems to be a negative correlation between spending time with me and getting better here. I said, now, Alan, the way this chart looks, had you never met me, you'd really been good. So I said, Alan, what should I learn about coaching from you? Well, Alan taught me a lesson to change my life and change the field of coaching. You know what he said? Number one, he said, you got one job, Marshall, client selection. You pick the right customer. Your client, your coaching process will always work with the right customer. You pick the wrong customer, it's never going to work. Two, never make the coaching process about yourself and your own ego and how smart you think you are. Make it about the great people you work with, how proud you are of them. Well, look at Alan. Alan went on to Ford, where what? Stock goes from $1.01 to 1840. Now he's at Google. I mean, I'm not going to mention the number, but if you look up his net worth, it is a big, big, big number. And he totally turned around Ford. He totally turned around Boeing. And he's done a great job at Google. He's just an amazing human being. Well, what did I learn from him? Work with great people. Now, I always get ranked number one coach in the world. Why? Nobody knows I'm a good coach. Nobody's watching me coach anybody. I can't say I'm the number one coach in the world. I'm not that arrogant. On the other hand, I do think one thing. I got the best clients in the world. I'll put them up against anybody. Yeah, I may not be the best coach. You know what? Back to athletics analogy. Anybody that coaches people I'm coaching is going to look good.
I know it.
I mean,
really understand.
I'm coaching the all-star team here, right?
And how do you deal with this? Because oftentimes this was me 25 years ago when I first got in the field, and so I just wrapped my PhD. I'm fully licensed. I got a gig in pro sports, and the coach says, "Oh, I got somebody for you, Mike," and I didn't know better at the time,
Right.
And so I said, "Great," and privately, I'm like, "Cool, I got a gig. I'm included. I have value. Like, this is awesome. Let's go. I can't wait to kind of roll up my sleeves and get this done." Little did I know that person had already been tagged as the quote unquote head case.
Right.
So I'm going back 25 years ago. We don't talk like that or really think like that as much, I should say, in pro sport. But he really needed help. And this athlete was high potential, which can cut two ways. Okay. And, but couldn't quite get it done when the lights were on.
Yeah.
And then when it wasn't working well, he'd have a bad attitude, frustrated, intolerant, pointing his finger in all the other directions. And so I was like, great, put me in. Well, everyone else on the team looked and was like, okay, well, I guess if you're walking with Gervais, you're the head case.
Yeah.
How about that? So how did you figure out, on your selection, what are the criteria for selecting folks that are going to fit well with your methodology?
Well, okay. The first criteria is how much I charge. So that eliminates about 99% of everybody. So
Yes.
that cuts out. Now I'm dealing with CEO or there could be CEO because nobody else is going to write that check, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've cut that criteria down, a few issues. One, they have to have courage. What I do requires courage. They got to look in the mirror. It's painful. It is painful. Number two, they have to have humility. You know what I've learned? I cannot help a perfect person improve. If they're perfect, they don't need me. Well, they got to have enough humility to admit they can get better, and they have to have discipline. I mean, look at Alan. This guy's phenomenally disciplined day to day. He worked day after day after day. I got hired to coach him. 200 people got better just from me coaching him. It wasn't because I'm better, because he's better. It wasn't because I'm great, as he's great. So, that's it. They got to have, and also my coaching, for years, only helped successful leaders achieve positive change in behavior. That's all I did. Well, I get ridiculous requests for coaching. A pharmaceutical company calls me. We want you to coach Dr. X. I said, well, what's his problem? They said, he's not updated on recent medical technology. I said, neither am I. I'm supposed to
Can't help you there.
Mm-hmm. So I only coach behavior, never coach an integrity problem. Fire an integrity problem. Don't coach an integrity problem. That's a mistake. So I never deal with integrity problems. I don't deal with strategy. I don't know anything about strategy. If somebody's going in the wrong direction, I just help them get there faster. I don't turn the wrong direction into the right direction. So all I focused on for years was helping successful leaders achieve positive long-term change in behavior for years. Now, in my old age, I actually do something else along with that. I still do that, and I do something else along with it. I just try to help people have a better life, be happier, find peace. Because as I'm growing older, half the people I coach now are billionaires. One guy I'm coaching, what am I supposed to do? Help you get from 4 billion to 4.1? What does it matter anyway?
Yeah.
Who cares? He said, you're right. Who cares? I just want to be happy. So now a lot of my coaching is trying to help people have a good life.
How do you characterize the phase of life that you're in?
I'm in the legacy phase. So most of my life is, what am I going to leave here? And my goal is I want to give away as much as I can to as many people as I can and help as many people as I can in the time I have left to do it, which is not an infinite amount of time.
When I hear legacy, I get tripped in my head that it is about what they are going, whatever I leave behind, it's really about how they'll remember me. And I have
In
very
my,
little interest in that. So I don't
no,
get that you
in
come
my,
from an ego standpoint.
in my case, anybody can use any of my material any way they want. They can change it. They can put their name on it. I don't really care. I'm not going to be here anyway. So I don't think after I'm dead, I'm going to worry a whole lot. Somebody plagiarized my material. Well, I'm honored, in fact. What do I care? I just give it all away. I have hundreds of articles, videos, everything. It's online for free. And I have a program. Do you know about the 100 Coaches program?
I do. One of our mutual friends is in the program, Dr. Mark Goldston. I don't know
Of
if,
course. Yeah,
yeah.
of
So
course. Yeah, he's in the
Mark,
program. So the
yeah.
100 Coaches program, I go to this program called Design the Life You Love. And it's done by this woman, Ayşe Birsel, who's a wonderful person, a designer from Turkey. So she says, who are your heroes? So my heroes are kind and generous people like Peter Drucker, like Alan Mulally, by the way, is my hero. Peter Drucker is my hero. I'm supposed to be Alan's coach. Come on. I learned 10 times from him what he learned from me, if I'm being generous to me. So anyway, he's a hero. Frances Hesselbein, she's my hero. So I've got these heroes. She said, you should be like your heroes. So that's nice. I decide I'm going to adopt 15 people, teach them all I know for free. And the only price is when they get old, they need to do the same thing. Sounds nice. So I put a little thing on LinkedIn, a little very primitive selfie video. I'm thinking 100 people would apply and I'll adopt 15 and that'd be nice. I'm a nice old man stumbling around. They laugh at my jokes and then they get old and do the same thing. I was wrong. So far, over 18,000 people applied to be adopted.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Look at
now
that.
over 18,000. Now we have over 300. I think we have about 370 in the group now. It's just wonderful. And the rules are no money, no guilt, no obligation. Ask people for anything. If they can help you, they will. If they can't, they don't. It's okay. And you have no expectation to give them anything back. The only
Well,
expectation, if they help you, you help somebody else.
okay. Okay. Because I was going to say you've done something in that group because I know a couple other the folks and they take care of each other. You know, they're like, hey, I know somebody that might be of interest. And, you know, we're in this group and it's, Marshall kind of put it together and I've heard it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So it's like they are committed to helping each other, that 360 folks or whatever the number is to help each other, which is however you've done that. It's pretty cool.
It's wonderful. I had no idea. It really struck a chord because a lot existentially people are lonely. We don't have a community that we were brought up in most cases, and the high end is lonely. You know, I was saying it's lonely at the top. It's lonelier at the top. Today they're worried about whatever they say. People make fools of them, and so being in a community of people who are just there to help you, and they don't have an agenda, and they're not trying to get something from you, and we all just try to support each other is very nice.
And there's no fee. It's just that you need to have folks that you trust that are doing high standard work. And there's no kind of like, I don't know, gate to get through. Like, how do you select
Well,
folks
I
though?
mean, I now people I have adopted grandchildren and great grandchildren. So to me, I mean, people say, "Am I worried how people use what I do?" Look, what I do is going to probably do more good than harm, and I'm not sitting. I'm not the police here, and as long as they got good hearts and they try to do good, they're probably fine.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. All right, let me wind back really quickly. What led you to Africa? I want to get some context before I ask you the next question.
I did volunteer work for the CEO of the American Red Cross, Richard Schubert. And then they had the famine relief campaign, and he very generously thought this would be good for me to get a dose of the real world. So I spent 9 days there. And I'm one of the few Americans that's actually seen people starve to death. And it's brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal. It's brutal. And so I spent 9 days there just to try to do something. I'm not sure I did much good, but we tried to come up with some ideas and help people as best we could. It
Okay.
was it was a very big perspective building activity for me, because it really put my life in context of what matters and what doesn't, and being grateful and thankful for all we have.
Okay. All right. So the reason I was asking about Africa and the way you grew up is because when you, if if you're in the winter phase of your life, is that fair to say?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Winter.
I'm not naive. I mean, people talk about, I'm 73. So
Hmm.
people talk about, well, I'm sure you're going to live to blah, but no, you're not. You're
Well,
not sure how long
we
I'm going to live.
we
I mean,
we don't know. Yeah, I appreciate.
Buddha was brought up in a palace. His father was a king, and he was brought up to try to get more and more and more, and he lived in a bubble. He was able to sneak outside 3 times. You know what he learned? Trip number 1, you get old. Trip number 2, you get sick. And trip number 3, you're going to die. Old, sick, die. And that's in the cards. And as a Buddhist, I am not into death denial at all.
He also learned that dad was cleaning up the streets before he went out there to make sure that like everything was okay. And it wasn't
Right.
until he snuck out, broke the rules, by the way,
Yeah.
which I have a healthy respect for that, that he was, did he see the truth?
Right.
And so I love that fact. I love the idea, like we need to break some rules to get to the truth of things sometimes.
Good.
Do you break rules?
Well, it depends how you define rules. I mean, even the way I do coaching is very different than most people think coaching is. So my coaching is very different than most people who do coaching. Not better or worse, just different.
In what ways? I do not know the coaching world. I've
Well, most of the people who call themselves coaches are using more of a questioning process, and they don't give advice. See, number one, not only do I give advice, I teach them to get advice from everyone around them. The whole thing is about getting advice. And
Oh, that's really interesting.
you
Yeah.
listen, and I teach you, again, another Buddhist practice called feed forward. You ask for ideas, you listen, and you say thank you. You don't judge, critique people. You just say thank you. If you want to do it, you do it. You don't want to do it, you don't do it. You're in the sports field. I don't know many athletes, but a couple of them are in my group. And I met with 50 people every weekend during the COVID period. These are amazing people. And we did have a couple of athletes. Curtis Martin, I don't know if you know who Curtis is,
I do.
National Football League Hall of Fame. I love that guy. In my new book, The Earned Life, I talk a lot about Curtis. I love that guy. He's just a wonderful human being. And the other one is, who I also love, is Pau Gasol. Pau's a basketball player for the Lakers, and a lot of teams, just another great human being. So they're both members of my groups. So I had a couple of athletes there.
So how do you coach? You said yours is different than others. You give advice. Like how is it that you, and listen, I'm not asking for trade secrets, just as
Oh,
a,
there's like everything. There are no
yeah.
trades. I give
Yeah.
everything away.
I
Yeah.
totally get that
So
from
I
you.
mean, no. I can say I have no trade secrets.
Yeah, neither do I. I embrace that. Yeah.
Yeah. So who cares? No, the way I coach people, it's called stakeholder centered coaching. Thousands of people have been formally trained in this, and tens of thousands have used it informally. It's very simple. I would start out, let's imagine you're the CEO of a company, but it works with a first line supervisor just as well. You're the CEO. I'd say, okay, who are your key stakeholders? These will be your direct reports, your peers, management, family, friends, whoever you say. And then the board would have to agree. Yeah, we agree. These are important people. Then I ask them all for confidential individual feedback. Simple questions. I do, what's this guy do well? What's he need to do better? What situations bring out the best, the worst, and overall, just any advice at all. And then I write a report. Now, these reports are very painful to read because they're not used to seeing the truth. And they're long and a lot of that, it's hard. And then I go over this report with you and you say, I feel good about this. I want to get better at that. I'll say, fine. So then you go back to board and say, look, I feel good about this. I want to get better at that. I say, yeah, this makes sense. So now we have a contract. You get better at that stuff. It's judged by these people. I get paid. You don't, it's all free. So here's the key. Now you have to then go back and talk to people. You have to say, thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for this feedback. I have nothing to lose, much to gain. And you talk about the positives. Here's what I feel great about. and you express gratitude. I don't know who said what. I know many people said nice things. I would say how grateful I am. Then you don't say but, you say, and here's what I want to improve. For example, I want to be a better listener. Now, if I've not listened to you or the others, I'm sorry. Please accept my apologies. There is absolutely no excuse, no excuses. I can't change the past. I'm not going to ask you for more feedback about the past. I can't change it anyway. I'm going to ask you for ideas for the future. If you had to have ideas moving forward to help me be a better listener, what would they be? Whatever the person says, you sit there, shut up, listen, take notes, and say thank you. You don't judge. Then you never promise to do everything. Leadership's not a popularity contest. You say, I'm going to listen to everybody and do what I can. I can't do everything. I'm going to do what I can. I can't get better at everything. I get better at this. And if you don't mind, I'm going to involve you and follow up with you on a regular basis and ask you to help me get better. And then they do that over and over and over and over and over again. And guess what? They get better.
Pretty simple.
Oh, 80% or 90% of what my clients learn, they don't learn from me. They learn from other people. Then I have these meetings with my clients. I did that over COVID with 50 people. So Pal Gasol and Curtis were part of this group. Every week they evaluate their lives. Every week they'd come in and give a report card on their lives. And every week they ask for help. And then people just try to help them. And then they try to help other people over and over and over again.
Do you have a set of variables that you suggest they score themselves on? Or
yes, I'm going to give you 6. Okay. Now, I'm going to now teach your listeners something that takes 3 minutes a day, costs nothing, and will help them get better at almost anything. Some people are skeptical. 3 minutes a day costs nothing. Help me get better at almost anything. Too good to be true. Half the people that start doing this quit within 2 weeks. And they don't quit because it does not work. They quit because it does work. This is hard. This is hard. I have paid, I don't not always pay, sometimes it's a friend. I've had someone call me on the phone every day almost for 25 years. So I do this stuff. Why? My name is Marshall Goldsmith. I'm too cowardly to do any of this stuff I teach by myself. I'm too undisciplined to do any of this stuff I teach by myself. I need help, and it's okay. It's okay, I need help. I don't have that much willpower. I need help. My clients, one thing I'm proud of, 30 years ago, look at my books, who these people are. They're the second coming of God. They all stand up and they say, guess what? I need help publicly. They stand up and they say, I'm not perfect. I need help. Who are we kidding? We all need help. You need help. I need help. We all need help. That's it. So anyway, that's kind of the process. So what you do, I'm going to give you 6 questions for everybody. And then the rest of them, they write on their own. Okay, ready for the first 6? And they all begin with the phrase, did I do my best to? There's a reason for that. If I say, did you? And you say, no, you'll blame the environment. No, I didn't do this because they, blah, 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 them. My daughter, Kelly, she has a PhD from Yale. She's at Vanderbilt now. She taught me this. When you ask a person, did I do my best to? They can't blame anybody. Why? Didn't even say you succeeded. Did you even try? Number 1, did I do my best to set clear goals every day? So every day you set goals. Number 2, did I do my best to make progress toward achieving my goals every day? Number 3, did I do my best every day to find meaning? Find meaning in life. Did I make this count? Number 4, did I do my best every day to be happy? Number 5, did I do my best every day to build positive relationships? And number 6, did I do my best every day to be fully engaged? Now, 6 simple questions. Our research is amazing. You do this every day. 34% of the people said I got better at everything. About 2/3 say I got better at 4 items, and 91% said I got better at something. Almost nobody gets worse. Why? Every day, this gets you to focus on the one variable you have control over. Did I do my best?
Very cool framework. I'm interested why, as a Buddhist that you shared, that you would put happiness as one of the variables. And I think you and I could have a long discussion about happiness and joy. There's a difference in those 2 words, as you would recognize. But I'm curious why you would put...
I may or may not recognize. You see, one thing I never do is have semantic arguments.
Okay.
Because my old teacher, Paul Hersey, taught me that. He said, words have different definitions. Why waste life arguing about the meaning of words? When you go to a dictionary, the word has 10 different things. Well, it's not they're wrong, they're just different. For me, when I talk about happiness, it's very simple. I'm not like Martin Seligman that says happiness is a function of 7 things. To me, happiness is joy in the process of what you're doing. You just love what you're doing. That's it. I'm not talking about meaning. That's separate. I'm not talking about achievement. That's something else. I'm just talking about you love the process of what you're doing.
There you go.
So for
Okay.
me, when I say happiness, that's all I mean.
Okay. I want to take a quick little break here to talk about Policy Genius. If you have someone in your life who relies on you financially, maybe it's a child, a parent, even a business partner, life insurance gives you the peace of mind that they have a financial cushion if something happens to you. And life insurance typically gets more expensive as you age. I know you know that. So it's smart to get a policy sooner rather than later. But there's so many options out there. Finding the right policy, it can be really hard. So shopping for insurance, for me at least, it gets a little overwhelming quickly. Trying to make comparisons across a bunch of different vendors, it almost gets silly. And that's where Policy Genius comes in. So they are a one-stop shop for you to find the insurance you need at the right price. So here's how it works. All you got to do is punch over to their website, policygenius.com, and in minutes you can compare personalized quotes from top companies to find the best fit for you, whether that's the lowest price or whatever they have to offer. You could save 50% or more on insurance by comparing quotes from Policy Genius. And the licensed agents at Policy Genius are on hand through the entire process to help you understand your options and make decisions with confidence. The Policy Genius team works for you, not the insurance companies, and they have your best interest in mind. They don't add on any extra fees, and they never sell your info to third parties. To get started and to check out what they're doing, head to policygenius.com to get your free life insurance quotes and to see how much money you could save. Again, that's policygenius.com. And Finding Mastery is also brought to you by Inside Tracker. Inside Tracker, they cut through the noise by analyzing your blood, DNA, lifestyle, fitness trackers, all designed to provide you with a personalized, science-backed, trackable action plan on how you can live and age and perform better in life. And that's my favorite part. They don't just give you data and then say, okay, figure it out, good luck, here's some general recommendations. They actually provide you with nutrition and lifestyle actionable steps that you can take to live well. So if you missed our Finding Mastery conversation with Inside Tracker's founder and chief science officer, Dr. Gil Blander, I hope you'll check that out. We take a deep dive on health span and lifespan, and we discuss different strategies for living a longer, higher quality of life. So for a limited time, Inside Tracker is offering us 20% off their entire store. So if you're interested, this is a great opportunity to go get started with them. So just punch over to insidetracker.com/findingmastery to check out what they're doing for 20% off. And it's spelled just like it sounds, inside, INSIDE, tracker, TRACKER, insidetracker.com/findingmastery for 20% off. With that, let's jump right back into this conversation. Yeah, cool. All right. And the reason I responded to that one, and again, I'll say it for clarity, like I love the process because you are putting people in control of themselves and their own experience, is that happiness is, for me, I'm just speaking for Mike, it is it's not deep enough. It's not big enough. It is, it's one part of the human experience. I want to understand the full range of the experience. And I hear you talking about that in a couple others. It just struck me that you would put happiness in there. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Like it's great.
I agree. It is one part, but to me, it's not a trivial or insignificant part. It's an important part.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
my
cool.
new research has proven we're all going to be equally dead here. And let me help you. Yeah, you spend the rest of your life and you're not happy, you're going to look back on life and say, I was a dumbass.
Yeah. Like, what was I doing? I know. Yeah,
What were you
sure.
thinking?
Yeah.
By the way, when the blessings of life were passed out, were you at the back of the line? I don't think so. You were standing right at the front of that line.
So are you.
Me too. I've got no, I'm not arguing on that one. I
Yeah, no.
completely agree with that. By the way, some people complain life isn't fair. Thank God life isn't fair. If life were fair, there's no way neither you or I would be in this conversation right now.
Yeah, my son's school, they work from core character strengths. So they work from character and they hammer it. And I love all six of them. I love that they have six, but one of them I don't like. It's about being fair. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, it's so different than my worldview. And so, it's not fair that I was born here and somebody else was born there, and that, their experience is completely different. But I understand that we're trying to raise compassionate, kind, global citizens. But so fairness is not one that I jump on.
Not my area of expertise, so I defer on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. Very cool. So, you also talk about that leadership is a full contact sport. I think that's how you put it.
Yeah,
And that's a
article
cool
about that.
phrase.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
article
read that
about
article.
that.
It's a great phrase.
Well, if you look at our research, it shows that leaders that get the feedback, talk to people, follow up on a regular basis, get better. And people that don't. And so I was teaching a class for the Northrop Company. This is also my new book, The Earned Life. I'm teaching a class for the Northrop Company. And the CEO is Kent Kresser, great guy, by the way, turned around the company, which was down the drain when he got there. And Kent says to me, do people really change? Well, I said, well, I think they do, but to be honest, I have a degree in math. I have no research to prove it. So I started measuring, do people talk to people? Do they follow up and do they get better? What did I learn? Shockingly, the people that actually did all that stuff I taught got better, as not as judged by themselves, but by everybody. They were better leaders, better listeners, whatever. They got better. Amazingly, the people who went to my classes but didn't talk to people, did no follow up, they didn't get better. Now I have good news. They didn't get worse. They might as well have been watching sitcoms. It was a total waste of time. What did I learn? Back to my friend Alan, nobody gets better because of me. Nobody gets better because of me. They get better because of themselves.
So then okay, so let me go back to a first principle. Why do you give advice? And this is my naivete of the coaching world. And I don't listen, you're a legend and you've created something amazing. And that's why I wanted to learn
Yeah,
from you and include you here. I just my hair, as a trained professional, my hair bristles and my antenna pop up like life coaching. And I know it's different than executive coaching, but I
right.
get really concerned. Like advice giving and frameworks that don't deeply understand one of the most complicated human experiences, which is our psychology and our frameworks. Like, I just get nervous, and I'm listening to you going, well, this is good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, why
Okay.
do I
Yeah.
give
This is
people?
good.
Number one, they don't just get advice from me. They get advice from everybody.
What's the
All
difference
around
between
them.
advice and insight? You
Well,
sharing an
let me
insight
describe
versus,
exactly. Again, I don't want to get into semantic argument, but let me
Mhm.
describe exactly what they do.
Okay.
I would go to you and say, Mr. Colleague, I respect you and I want to be a better listener. Please give me ideas about, if for the future, how I could be even better. And I shut up and listen. Now, to me, when I say advice, you are giving me advice on how to be a better listener. Now, I could teach my client how to be a better listener, but I don't work with them. The best advice doesn't come from me. It comes from the poor people they work with and never listen to.
Got it.
That's what
Got
I
it.
do. I do that over and over. And it's the Buddha said, here's a good point. Buddha said, only do what I teach if it works for you. So what I tell my clients is, look, you're an adult. By the way, my clients are not children. You got to realize who these people are. I mean, they are mega, mega, mega 99.999% successful people. They're not children. If they don't want to do something, it's not like, oh my, there's some victim that's going to have to go do something because I tell them. No offense to me, but I'm not that important.
Yeah. And the Buddha knew that too, because when he says, if you meet the Buddha, kill him, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
yeah. Okay. So, I, I hear that. I hear that differently because the advice giving framework, it feels dismissive to the history of the person from somebody from the high and mighty says, oh, well, you should do this or you should do that. And that word should, is obviously,
Well, it's
it's
not the high
challenging.
and mighty. They're getting advice from everybody.
Yeah. How about it?
They're getting advice from their direct reports. They're getting advice from their spouse. They're getting advice from their kids.
When you challenge people to listen.
Let me give you a funny story about this. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, please.
My classes always say, do you believe customer satisfaction is important? Oh, yes. Should you ask your customers for their ideas? Well, of course you should. That's just getting advice from your customers, right? You disagree with that? You shouldn't ask your customers for their ideas. Is that a bad idea? It's a good idea. Everyone says it's a great idea. Should you listen to your customers? Yes. Should you get better? Yes. Do you have a husband, wife, or partner at home? Yes. Have you been asking your partner, what can I do to be a better partner in this relationship? No.
Oh boy, you're getting, as soon as that happens, you're like, oh yeah. So me right now, I'm saying, oh yeah, it's a good question over dinner tonight. And then the other thing that happens is, wait, hold on, she's gonna tell me the truth. Okay, hold on. Yeah, right. So, yeah, very cool. Okay, so I'd love for you to just bounce off this idea is that when you ask your customers what they want, okay, they're going to give you what they want, but that's not necessarily, Ford is kind of legendary for this. It's not necessarily where you need to take your business. It is a way to serve the mechanics of the business now.
It depends the business you're in.
Yeah. Say it again. It does
if
what?
You're in a customer satisfaction business, it's a great idea. If you're in a product business, which is not better or worse, it's not a good idea.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
If you're in a product business, you don't care about what your customers think. You want to develop great products. They don't even know what they are. Steve Jobs was in a product business, right?
Right. Yeah.
Other people, though, are in a customer satisfaction, hotels, places like that. They're in a customer satisfaction business. My clients are in a leadership business and they have key stakeholders. By the way, I don't tell them who the key stakeholders are. They tell me.
That's right.
I don't tell them these people are important. They tell me. You don't want to listen to them. Don't ask.
Okay. So when you're listening to people, so this is interesting because I think my one of my frameworks, first principles, is that, and I think you're gonna maybe balk at this, but one of my first principles is that everything you need, Marshall, is already inside you.
No, I think that's all bullshit. Total bullshit. Yeah, you want to be a better delegator. You haven't been a better delegator for 20 years. I'm going to ask you a bunch of bullshit questions to help you guess how to delegate. I've coached thousands of people on how to be better delegators. I can answer the question in 5 minutes, and I'm the world's #1 expert in leadership. So rather than me just give you a simple shit answer, I'm playing some bullshit guessing game with you. That's what I just heard. That's nonsense. It's bullshit. Total bullshit.
Well, okay, so you and I are going to wrestle this one down for a minute then, because
you can wrestle all you want to. It's just bullshit. It's a dumb answer. Look, you want to be a better delegator? I can tell you how to be a better delegator. You do this, you're going to be a better delegator. I don't have to do some deep psychological analysis. I'm not doing therapy here.
No, you're not doing therapy, but my job is to help others to go within, to find their authentic voice, listen deeply, and then measure twice, cut once, and do it the way that is right for them. And when we start to listen to everybody around us, we start to get confused by what Susie and Jane and Joey and John think is right. And what my job is to go to first principles, mapped up against my virtues, and then make the decision that is authentically right for me with kindness and compassion and relationship with others involved, and holding the strategy of the business in the same way. So we're going to fundamentally disagree, which no problems. Like there's lots of ways to
Let me ask you a question. Do you coach people and get paid for results? I do. Question, honest answer. Do you ever coach people and say, get paid nothing unless I get results? Yes or no? And the answer is no. Hell no, you don't, but I do.
No, I'll tell you what.
Well, I do. One of us gets
but
paid
my game,
me,
listen, my game's not, yeah, that's fine. Like my game is not about
I'm not saying
results.
you don't get results.
No, that's not my game.
You never had the balls to sit there and say, I'm only going to work if you get better.
Not true.
I do.
At all. Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, listen, like that's not the case at all.
I got
I've no, no,
so,
no.
I'm just telling you, I get paid for results. And by the way, the people I coach, you're acting like somehow because they talk to people, they're going to be passive and dependent. Oh, I must do what they tell me. I am coaching phenomenally high achieving, great people. You think they're going to passively agree with bullshit? Of course they won't.
So what tripwire happened in this conversation where you want to tell another person that their first principle in life is bullshit?
Whose first principle is bullshit?
Mine. I
I
was
wouldn't
sharing with
coach
you
you.
my
I wouldn't coach you. That's easy. I
no,
wouldn't
what
coach you.
happened what happened in this conversation that
I
you
wouldn't
would
want
say,
to
wait,
coach
hold
you.
on, that you would say to somebody that your first principle is bullshit.
I think it's bullshit. Yeah. And I
Y-
wouldn't coach you
And you wouldn't coach because
because you wouldn't do what I just told you to do.
yeah, that okay.
I'm
So
not saying you're a
I
bad
am not going to
person.
follow. I'm going to listen and interpret, and I'm going to map my decisions based on authenticity
Of
and then
course,
what is right for the community of people that I'm serving.
that's wonderful. You can do that.
Mhm.
I wouldn't coach you because you're not going to ask people for input and listen because for some reason you think you're going to come up with the answers by yourself. If you can,
No, no, that's not what's being said. I'm not saying that I have all the answers.
wait a
I'm saying
minute.
everything that
Time
you
out,
need is
time
already
out, time
okay.
out,
Yeah, go ahead.
listening. Let me quote you. The answer is within me. The answer
Mhm.
is within me. You said that. Did I miss something? I heard
Yeah.
it. You said it. The answer
No,
is within you.
no,
Uh-uh.
I said everything you need is already in there. My job is to help illuminate and bring it out.
That's what you believe.
Yeah.
You want to believe that, knock yourself out.
How could so you think that my answers are within you?
No,
Okay. So then where are the answers?
I think you can learn from everyone around you.
Uh, yeah, I think that we can learn, but I'm saying yes. I think we're saying the same thing there.
Good. You can learn from everyone. You want to be a better listener. You want to do a better job of listening to Mary. Option A, I sit there and talk to you and ask you a bunch of questions and you have some deep insight on listening. Option B, you ask Mary, Mary, what can I do to be a better listener? I'm voting for B. I'm voting for B, not A. You want to
So
argue with that one?
no,
Want to
that
be
I
a
think
better listener? What is the best thing you can do to be a better listener to Mary? Who is the best person in the world to help you listen to Mary? Mary, not you, not me. Mary, talk to
oh,
Mary.
that's pretty funny because that's actually what I'm saying is that Mary holds the answers to how to be a great listener. She needs
For you.
feedback. She need for her. She needs
Not, I'm not
feedback.
saying Mary has the answer for her. I'm saying you want to do a better job of listening to Mary. Ask Mary for the answer for you,
Hmm.
not for her, for you.
Yeah, I also embrace that. I think that that's great. I think we're saying, Marshall, I think we're saying the same thing, but
We're
there's a
getting there.
tripwire. There's a tripwire that happened, and I have high respect for you, and so I want to understand what the tripwire was that led us to like, wait, hold on, your first principle is bullshit, and I won't coach you. And so I'm like,
I wouldn't
huh,
coach you. I wouldn't coach you if you didn't want to ask everyone for their ideas about how you can improve. Period.
oh God, that's amazing that you heard that because I would never submit to the idea that others can't help. We are we are tribal people trying to figure out how to be okay.
So what's
And
your problem with maybe we have a semantics disagreement. What's your problem with asking for advice, which is to me the same as asking for help? What's wrong with that?
so advice for me is like it feels callous for somebody to say, "Hey, you should bet on this," or "You should really shut up and listen," or "You should." So advice feels like you're getting a snip of my experience in life and then saying what I should do to be better.
And let's say you get advice from 18 people. You're getting
Yeah,
lots of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And I think that externalizing the right course of action becomes a little confusing and it becomes dangerous when we're constantly looking outside of ourselves for what is the right course of action
How many
for
clients that I coach have a problem with excessively looking outside of themselves? That would be phenomenally close to zero. I'm not coaching people with poor self-images. I'm not coaching dependent, helpless people that are going to kowtow to what everyone says. I'm coaching the big people. I'm coaching very big people, and their problems are usually the opposite. They try to be right too much. They try to win too much. They try to win every argument. That's who I'm
yeah,
coaching. So I
yeah.
don't know who you're talking about, but I can tell you, they're not the people I coach.
That's
Maybe
funny.
they're the people you
Yeah,
work with. That's fine, but they're not the people I work with.
that's an interesting assumption.
Well,
Yeah.
you may work with dependent people who are going to kowtow to everyone around them. I do not. That is the least of my concerns.
I hear that you work with highly successful people and that you are the number one coach in the world and that you give advice to people. And I'm suggesting that the people I work with are deeply interested in being better and bringing their community along. And
Good.
they want to know how to get better. I'm just not in a position to say this is what you should do and how you ought to live.
Well, that's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, that's right. But then
That's the difference.
I wouldn't call your Marshall, I don't listen, we're on a weird tone here, but I wouldn't call your approach bullshit. Like that feels like,
Well, look, I shouldn't have said bullshit. So my apologies on that.
yeah. Well, no, I'm not
I
looking for
just, I
apology.
just,
It's a
I
different
just,
way of
I just
engagement.
apologize. I just apologize. I shouldn't have done that. You were right. So will you accept my apologies?
Marshall, with all humility, yes. And
Good.
yes, I mean that in a spirited way. Like I love this banter and engagement because I feel alive with it.
Good.
And I think we have different methodologies, but probably many of our deepest interests are aligned. And
Right.
so, yeah, no, thank you for modeling for that moment too. I really appreciate that. My heart rate came up. I was like, holy shit, where are we going?
Dave Chang, who wrote the book, he has a whole chapter on me coaching him.
Mhm.
He said I gave him 2 words of advice: eat shit.
Golly, good man. Yeah,
So anyway,
okay.
look, you're in good company.
Yeah. That is fun.
I give my clients shit all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they,
No.
they will all tell you, "Oh my God!" And I'm always giving them shit, and I do it all the time. So again, I don't want to offend anybody. My apologies. I don't want to be offensive. I just give clients shit all the time.
Yeah. No. I feel you. And then so let's have a slight pivot because you've taken your.
All right, you want some
Yeah,
coaching for you?
I would love some.
I'm going to give you some advice.
Please.
All right. In my book, what got you here, when people say something to you, don't start the sentence with no, no, or no. Now, I said something you agreed with, and you said, no, no. No, no, I agree with you.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me play it back. You said something and I didn't agree,
You did
or
agree with it.
I did agree, and
You said
then
no. The most common phrase uttered by smart people when people tell us something we agree with is no, I agree with you. Sometimes we say, no, no, I
oh,
agree
that's
with
an
you.
interesting. Yeah. So
No, it's a great idea.
so somewhere
No,
in the
it's a great idea.
conversation,
No, I think it's fantastic. Why do you say
how,
no for?
how do you reframe it?
Don't say no.
And then what do you say? Like I'm trying to play back what I said,
Great
but
idea. Just say
great
great
idea.
idea.
Great
Or
idea.
I agree with you or something. See, here's the problem. It is incredibly difficult for a smart person to hear anyone tell us something we agree with without pointing out we already understood and agree with it. So no, I agree with you means no, I already understand that. You don't have to explain it to me.
And the reframe is I just drop the no and say, I totally agree with that.
Just say great idea.
Great
Even better.
idea.
You think it's a great idea? Just say great idea.
Yeah,
So
cool.
if you're a leader, this is one of the things I teach people. Some guy comes to you with an idea. You think it's a great idea. Just say great idea. Don't say I already knew that. Don't say
Mm,
no, I already knew that. Don't say
mm,
no, I think it's a great idea. Just say great idea.
mm. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I will say that there is a part in me that I understand the need to want to be right. And I also understand that I the need to get to the truth is more important at this point. And so that creates like this humility, like, yeah, okay, let's find as many places that we can learn together. So thank you. And I think there's a double entendre that's happening, which is like, can I give you advice? Even though 15 minutes ago we're like, what the fuck about advice are we doing? Which is pretty funny. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good man, Marshall. So, like, let's just quickly talk about your book, and what do you hope people do, and where do you hope to drive people from
Well,
reading your book?
historically, all my coaching has been helping leaders change behavior, successful leaders. And again, you have to put it in context. I don't work with normal people. So the shit I do, I'm not saying it's going to work with everybody. It probably won't. But I don't work with everybody. I work with people that tend to have very positive self-image. They believe in themselves. They're not shy or insecure. I'm not worried about them overreacting to anything. That's one of the least of my concerns. I used to just help these people change their behavior, which, by the way, generally was focused on winning too much, being right too much, adding too much value, all kinds of stuff like that. In my book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. That was most of my life. Now that I've become an old man, I just want to help people have a better life. So a lot of my coaching now is just try to help people be happy. And as define happy, that means joy in what they're doing and find meaning in life. Be happy, find meaning. And in my book, I talk about aspirations. I talk about our ambitions, and I talk about our actions. Historically, most human beings have been focused on actions. That's a day-to-day activity. They do what they're, there. They play the video game. They not bad. They just experience life. Some people are lost in their head. They're academic. They focus on lofty ideas. They don't do anything. The people I coach are achieveaholics. They are focused on achievement. And I talk about the dangers of identifying yourself with the results of what you do. It's a fool's game. It is a fool's game. And we have become in the West excessively focused on the results of what we do. And it doesn't bring joy. And if you're too focused on results, there's two problems. One, you don't control the results. And two, what if you achieve the results? What happens next year or next year or next year? You mentioned the National Football League, a disaster story. What happens to ex-NFL players? Ugly, 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 divorced, bankrupt, depressed. Why? They are not going to have that glory again. Curtis has done so much to try to help ex-athletes. Pau Gasol is trying to help ex-athletes. They're both very successful guys. Why? They're living now. They're not living in a dream in the past. So the one thing I talk about is don't become addicted to achievement, and don't make your value as a human being based on what you achieve. Because if you do, well, you're never going to win. One of my clients that's he endorsed the book is Albert Bourla. Albert's a CEO of Pfizer. I said, how's your year last year? Oh, it's pretty good. Came up with his vaccine and CEO of the year and company engagement high and stock price high, write book, blah, blah, blah. I said, what's your problem? He said, I have a huge problem next year. If his value as a human being is based on beating last year, he might as well kill himself. It's done. What did Michael Phelps think about after he won his 25th gold medal? Killing himself. It's over. If your value as a person is based on that, you got problems. You're never going to win. The Buddhist term is the hungry ghost. You are the hungry ghost. You're always eating, but you're never full. So a lot of the book is just how you align three things. One, you need to have a higher purpose. What am I here for? Why am I doing this crap at all? What's the point? Two, you need to have meaningful achievement that is connected to that purpose. And then three, you need to enjoy the process of life. So those are the three key things I talk about. And if you enjoy the process of life, I'll be having a good time. One. Two, I've got a higher purpose. And three, I'm achieving stuff that's meaningful to me. Now I'll give you some good feedback. You ready for some good feedback? Here's my good feedback to you. Yeah. Now I may be wrong, but I'm just guessing. Yeah. One, my guess is you do have a higher purpose.
I do.
Two, that you are achieving things.
I am.
And three, you probably pretty much enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, yes. Like 9.5 out of 10, like, yes.
There's things
that, yeah. Oh, I love the last, thank you. I love the last 3 minutes. We are so deeply aligned with what you just talked about, in multi-directional, in a multifaceted way, that purpose and meaning matter. And there's a process to help with that. And at the same time, there's a phrase that I think you'll appreciate that I learned from working. I too work with the half percenters, that are, in some cases, the most, they shift the rhythm of the world based on their industry. And what
Yeah,
I've learned that they've taught me is that they thought that they needed to do more to be more.
right,
And they're now flipping that model on its head, is that no, 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 no. I need to be more
right.
and let the doing flow from there. I need to be more present, more grounded, more kind, more authentic, more creative, again, more present. And then all of the doing flow from that orientation. And then therein lies freedom in the unfolding present moment.
Good.
And so, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I am deeply aligned with how you just articulated the book that you've just written. And so, where can people go find it?
Well, they gave me $1 million advance, so it should be it should be available most places, right?
Good
If
man.
it's not, the publisher just screwed up here. So yeah, I think it'll be in almost all the bookstores, Amazon, whatever. It should be readily available. Airports, I spent money on the airports. Should be lots of them in the airports, Amazon, anything. And then I give all my material away. Marshall at marshallgoldsmith.com. Send me an email if you want to send me an email, or www.marshallgoldsmith.com. Go to YouTube, LinkedIn. I say everything I give away, it's all free. You may copy, share, download, duplicate, modify, change, put your name on it. I don't care.
You, I've never had an experience in a conversation like this. And the fire you have, the generativity you have, and the commitment to your approach is noted. And I would love to know what your experience in this conversation was like as well.
It was fun. You got to realize I'm doing 45 podcasts. So this is one of the more lively ones. I do have some more. I got another suggestion for you, though. Are you ready?
Yes.
I think you should join my happy community, the 100 coaches. Join our group. We have a wonderful group. You would love it. The people would love you. You know, and like you said, shit, we don't always have to agree with everything. It's all
Yeah.
right. But I think you'd be a wonderful member of our little community.
What a tremendous extension, Marshall. So I don't know enough about it, but I know that somebody that I respect is in it. And
Talk to all the people that are in it, and they'll tell you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And for what it's worth, that model that you have of wanting to give and to create a community, it's so inspiring. So, Marshall, thank you for your time. Thank you for the frameworks that you've built and shared. And I'm honored to have this conversation with you. And I've loved the full intensity and full circle of the whole thing.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah, Marshall, keep rolling. All the best to you.
Nobody fell asleep.
Good man. Good
Thank
man.
you.
Okay, Marshall, all the best.